Tell it again. Tell it again. Can you remember that now? No. See, now you see how you do me? You see how you do me? Say that same thing. Shoe on the other foot now. Tight shoe too.
Say that again.
Right. But I got what you're saying. So the man of God can discern the sound that's coming out of the house that's different than any other time. And it's very important for the man of God to have a keen sense of hearing. That's why you need a prophetic gift in the house. I know we disavowed it and say we don't need prophetic. The prophetic is preaching. In seminary school, they tell you that prophecy means preaching. But when you go to the definition of it in the Greek, you find out that, hold on, you scratch your head and say, well, that's not what it says. Because actually preaching is connected more to the evangelism. If you do a study on evangelism or evangelists, you'll find out all the words, good tidings, glad tidings, and all that is connected to that one word. Prophecy sits independent of preaching. But yet you can still bring a message to preaching that is prophetic.
Yes, sir.
You get what I'm saying? So I can say things and you can hear your need met through the logos because it becomes a rhema. And that's the same thing that we need to have to move the death out of the pot. We can have some areas, we talked on it last week, we said that you can have death in the pot in your marriage, you can have the death in the pot in your relationships, you can have it in the church, you can have it in your finances. But there has to be a man or somebody you can go to and ask for the solution.
You know what, I like that too, because when I think about what you said about the fivefold ministry, and when you talk about the apostle, the prophet, the pastor, the teacher, and the evangelist, and I think about that because when we think about in terms of those five offices, what we actually think about is we think about even they have something that they may understand greater as one of those offices, holding one of those offices that's still connected to this house, but yet they are able to understand greater in that area of their expertise.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So you need all five. We established that early on. You need all five. So it's a cry of release that has to come out. Taking everyone, there needs to be a cry.
It needs to be a cry.
So we got to get to that point to understand that the sound that we're releasing. And Micah 4:9 says something powerful. Well, let's go read it. It's in the Old Testament. That's a travail on the inside. That's the only cry we want. We don't want a cry to be... See, there's a lot of cries in the church. Some want to be delivered. Some want things to be broken off their life. But there's a cry on the inside of us to be transformed. There's a cry in us to be transformed. That corruption can be swallowed up. That mortality can be swallowed up. But that happens when we recognize what we carry. We carry what? The King.
Yes, sir.
The King of Glory is on the inside of us. And you know, we got little cute psalms. Y'all help me out with it. There's a psalm that we all like to sing. Huh?
Let the King of Glory come in.
Come on now. You know that one we like because it moves us and gets us a little excited, a little bit of tears and whatnot. Open up the gates. But the King is in us. He's not coming. He's in us. And that's the cry for release that the Redeemer of the Lord is testifying to. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, so we are, so the point is that the church has a cry. Every church has a cry. There's a cry of deliverance in some churches. The cry in this church is what?
It is finished.
It is finished. That's right. On a practical level, what's the cry of this church? What's the next season in this church life? Training center. Tell somebody that's the cry in the house. Training center. That's the cry in this house. No more church. Remove religion. We want to be trained. We want to be raised up in the spirit. But you got to recognize the gift that God has given you.
Yes.
John 4, when the Samaritan was caught up and talking about Jesus. And Jesus, she was looking for water. And Jesus said, if you knew the gift of God, you would ask him.
Yes.
And I believe if we knew the gift of God he has given us, we'll begin to draw from the resources that he deposited in those that he set over us. And I know we got folks that have been tampered with, and I know folks that have been abused and all that, but don't come to the house and expect the same thing to happen. That's why it's very important for you to sit for a while and get to know the spirit of your leader, not the message of your leader, because the message itself can be deceptive. You have to see you have to see the lifestyle and the characteristics, the fruit of the spirit You know, how does he treat you when he's not in the pulpit? When he see you out and about, do he duck and dodge? Oh, that's one of them. Or do he come up to you and say, hey, like he never seen you, he just sitting here on Sunday? Because it's important. Because you're going to only withdraw out of relationship. It's not going, I'm telling you, you're not going to get it out of logistics and scholastics and all that stuff. And God is bringing us or moving us from that. We'll be able to go from the inside and move out of relationship.
Then I like too, does the shepherd care about bringing you to a place where you can graze?
Of course.
You know, does he really care about getting you to a place where you can taught and be trained, just as Jesus did? You know, Jesus was our example, and what he does is that our leaders should have the same characteristics of Jesus,
bringing you solutions.
Yes, sir.
He said it in Jeremiah, was it the 23rd chapter? I think he said, I'm going to give you pastors after my own heart that's going to feed you.
That's right.
You won't be lacking. You won't be dismayed. And I believe God is bringing us to that point.
Yes, sir.
So we need to cry, though, because we need to understand our condition. We've been trained to deny our condition. We've been trained, you know what I'm saying, to have a blemish is wrong. To have a weakness is wrong. But when I look at Peter, I look at Paul. Paul talked about his weakness all the time. He said, I'm in fear and trembling all the time. And then he gave you chapters. You go to 2 Corinthians 6. He gave you a whole bunch of stuff, how he was beaten and cast aside and all that. But, I mean, come on now. I believe people need to see things in leaders in order to relate to leaders. And I believe that leaders need to see things in people so they can relate. And I believe that's the cry that's going to come out of the house, a corporate house. It's going to be a cry out, and we're going to be able to cry to those that God has assigned to us.
That's something too, because even in the most holy place, the things were made with wood and gold laced.
That's right.
So it still showed a part, wood being humanity, but yet gold being divinity.
Yeah, he joined them together. I mean, heaven and earth are forever, inseparable, never to be broken apart again. The Son of God became the Son of Man, so the Son of Man can become the Son of God.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you. Heaven and earth in one. They kissed at the cross. Let me quit. That's the love story, though. That's what it's all about. I'm telling you, it never broke up. Inseparable. That's why he give us in Romans 17 things that can't separate it. In Romans 8. Right. Death, life, principality, danger to come, all that stuff. Can't separate you from the love of Christ. You'll never be separated. Only thing is one thing can separate you from the love of Christ. That's your thinking. Our thinking is the enemy.
Amen.
Come on now.
Well, I ain't got time. I can show you. Our thinking is the enemy. God so loved the world. The same love he gave Jesus, now you have it. Amen. Well, I told you. I'm telling you, I haven't been perfect in years. But I know you think I have. But I haven't been perfect. And you can ask my wife, probably give you a couple of incidents. But the reason why I say that, I haven't depended on my perfection. So I don't sit around and try to self-evaluate myself. Because I walked in strong condemnation along with, especially in deliverance. You're taught and trained to look for something back.